Hi guys, Simon Rafalo here. Today we have another very special guest. It's the legendary Nigel Hendroff. Nigel is the main guitarist of Hillsong Worship. He's been part of the church for over 20 years. And we share in this conversation his story from where it all began, back in Perth, moving to Sydney to join the Hillsong Church and run a lot of the music, play on plenty of albums, tour around the world. And we also talk about what's coming up next. And he also talks a little bit about him and Mateus Asato. So I think you're going to love this conversation and I hope you're going to learn some stuff. Here we go.
Nigel Hendroff, great to see you, man.
Great to see you too, man.
So good to see you.
Better to see you.
Oh, you're looking really well. You're looking really good. You haven't changed one bit. Like, seriously, you have not changed at all.
One day I think I'm just going to turn like 60. Everything's going to turn white. You know, and the wrinkles are just going to pop out. And, yeah.
You'll still look cool. You'll still look cool. You'll still look cool.
Oh, you're too kind, man. Too kind, man.
So on my channel, which I've recently started, I break it up. I have some guitar lessons, but I also chat to some people. So you're my third guest. So
I'm honoured, man.
You're in good company. My wife, Matt Wakeling, and now Nigel Hendroff. So
wow, you're
in good company.
You're on that down.
I think we're peaking. I think we're peaking.
Don't even, mate. Don't start.
Oh, cool, man. So you are obviously known for your guitar playing. You're probably the most recognizable guitarist in Hillsong. How long have you been at Hillsong playing guitar for now and at the church?
Wow, it's going to be coming up to 21 years.
Wow, 21 years.
21 years. Well, I started, actually I came for a conference in 99.
Right.
I didn't really know much about the church or anything. I just got invited to the conference. Right. And I remember coming and seeing everything, seeing all the guys like play music, lead worship, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. But I was living in Perth at the time. Right. So, you know, long story short, I ended up coming over to work with an artist who was signed with the Sony record label, and I had to move to Sydney. I was asked to move to Sydney, so I said, "Right, sure, I'll come to Sydney." Right, and I came to the church and just stayed.
And 21 years later, and you're still there.
And I'm still here.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow, that's a good innings, man. 21 years. I mean, just...
Well, it hasn't been 21 years of smooth sailing, but it's 21 years.
Yeah, true. So you came from Perth. So actually, I mean, because a lot of people do recognize you. You are a very, you know, like Hillsong, obviously music goes around the world and you've played on countless albums and your guitar is heard everywhere, and you are really, you know, looked up to. Lots of, you know, people want to play like Nigel Hendroff. And
it still does my head in, man. When I hear that, I don't get it, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the guy you are, man. You're humble, and that's, you know. And I personally, you know, obviously, I know you a little bit and rub shoulders with you. We've never played together, but
that's,
you know,
my loss, man. That's my loss.
No, we have to make it happen one day. But yeah, so obviously 21 years at Hillsong, but I'd love to know your journey. I think people would love to hear kind of your story. So take me back to the start, Nigel, where the spark of music came from and how guitar came into your life. So just take me back there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Take me back.
Take me back.
Song in that.
Yeah, we could write some.
Yeah, there's, okay. So I actually started playing drums before guitar. And before drums, I actually played organ.
Oh, okay.
So my parents bought this. It was like a Lowry organ.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about keyboard. It's organ. You know, one with the bass pedals and
you know,
all the like little toggle switches that you pull, you know, push and pull, and you preset drum beats and all that sort of stuff. And that was me. That's how I started. Reading notes and trying to play like Lara's theme from Dr. Zhivago and all that sort of stuff. All those songs. And but my parents bought this organ because they wanted to invite their friends over and have me play for them. Right. It was so lame. I hated it. Anyway, but that's how I started music. and then I went to the drums, pots and pans, playing In Excess, Jimmy Barnes, Choir Boys, all that sort of stuff. I loved it.
Yeah.
But guitar for me really started with my uncles. They used to sit around. We used to go away for Easter. My dad's one of 14 brothers and sisters. So
14?
14, 1-4.
Wow. Big family.
Not much to do back then, I know.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of cousins, second cousins, uncles, aunties, you name it. We used to get together all the time and have these big sort of gatherings, and where they would sit around like the campfire and, you know, drink whiskey and play guitar and all that sort of stuff. So it was over Easter. We were camping with 60 of us in this massive log cabin. Anyway, they would literally sit around the campfire singing like Elvis Presley tunes and Everly Brothers tunes and, you know, the four chord wonders, beautiful. Yeah. And I was like, I want to do that. Just teach me how to play. So my uncle taught me 3 chords, D, A, and G, and I started with that. And at the same time, the high school that I was going to, was about to go to, had a jazz band that actually was really good. They used to go around, win awards, and, you know, in the local community. Yeah. And they came over to my primary school where I was at and did a little showcase. And the guitarist was to sit in the very back corner. It was a 16-piece jazz orchestra. And then the guitarist was just sitting in the very back corner playing like, you know, that sort of like that. And I was like, I want to do that.
There you go.
So I remember armed with my D, A, and G chords, going up to my music director at the high school, when I went to the high school, saying, I want to play in your band. And he's like, great. He goes, I don't play guitar. I only play trumpet and trombone and flute and all that. But here's a chord sheet. So go away and learn it. So I did. And I learned it in every position, up and down. And I fell in love with the instrument. Right. So because I really wanted to be part of this jazz band. Yeah. So I just worked my butt off for playing, you know, up to 6 to 8 hours a day practicing. And but the thing is, the musicians around me were brilliant. They were brilliant sight readers, and they're playing all these amazing jazz standards, these saxophone players, trumpet players, trombone players, and their sight reading was amazing. So that was like my inspiration. I was surrounded by amazing musicians, and I had to figure out how to read music. Right. So they gave me all their jazz standards that they were, you know, that they were performing, and I had to figure it out. I didn't know what a B-7 flat 5 was, so but I knew how to play a scale. You know, so I'd figure out, okay, I can play a major scale, but then it's a minor, flat third, -7, dominant 7, flat 7 as well, and then flat 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat the 5, and then figure out a chord shape. Had this Berkeley guitar book, flipped through it, found the matching shape. I'm like, might be -7 flat 5.
Wow, really?
That's how I learned, and then I had to figure out how to apply it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm mostly self-taught.
I was just about to ask you when you were just saying that. So you didn't get lessons from anyone in guitar teachers?
I got a few lessons here and there, but the first guitar teacher I had taught me classical style. Yep. And I was like, for a little bit, I was like, okay, I can, you know, handle this. But then I got bored of it, and I just wanted to move on to the contemporary stuff. And but yeah, he taught me some great techniques. Yeah. And but then I had a few lessons afterwards, but mostly it's just in my bedroom, practicing all those hours, neglecting homework.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
Just about checking in on your homework just then. How was the homework going?
Oh, look, I passed.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I finished high school, did all that, you know.
Right. But, did you do music? Did you do music for HSC?
No. We didn't have music as HSC back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the school that I was in.
Right. Okay.
So music wasn't a subject as
such. Right.
It was like an extracurricular thing that I did.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so no, I did do music as HSC. But
there you go.
Yeah.
So you finished like school, and you're playing guitar, and where did you go? What was the next
So
progression?
I started playing in pubs and all that from the age of 13. My first year, between my first and second year of learning was like a steep learning curve.
Right.
So much so that I found myself a year later actually playing in this jazz. A year or two later, I was playing in this jazz band.
Yeah.
Playing down at, I think it was Cleo's in Fremantle back in
Right.
Perth. You know,
Right.
for $30 a gig. You know, as a teenager, that was big money. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
3 hours, $30, man, bring it on. Yeah.
Wow. And you're 13.
I was 13 or 14.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who let you in the pub?
Well, I'm with Guardians and all that, you know.
Nice.
You know, my mum would drive me to all these gigs, and yeah, that's how I sort of cut my teeth on those.
Wow.
You know,
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So
that's really cool.
And then I was introduced to the I guess the church, the church scene when I was 15.
Yep.
So my cousin brought me along to a youth group meeting type thing.
Yep.
And I thought, she just said, come to dinner. So
yeah, right.
I was like, great, there's dinner, free food. It was a Chinese restaurant. I love Asian food, so I'm like, let's go there.
Right.
And then halfway through, they started talking about Jesus, and then they started playing music and worship and all that. And I was like, what's going on? You know? So anyway, they asked me if I wanted to accept Jesus.
Yeah.
So I was like, I looked at her and she was like, I was like, okay. I didn't know what I was doing. So I went down the front, accepted Jesus. Wow. And then a few weeks later, she took me to church back in Perth. And it was, I remember hearing the worship team. It sounded so bad.
Right.
The music wasn't really that good, to be honest with you. But it was like I heard the sound of worship, if you like, for the first time.
Okay.
And I felt like my ears, if you like, my spiritual ears were opened.
Nice.
And so from that point on, it's at 15 years old.
Yeah.
September 25th in 1992.
Well, that's not far away.
Yeah. Hang on, September 25th, 1990, actually.
Right.
I accepted the Lord, and I've been sold out for church music ever since.
Yeah, wow. So it's similar to me, like when I first entered, because I was a musician before I became a Christian.
Yeah.
So I was playing guitar and all that, and then when I entered my church, I just felt like, this is where I'm meant to be, because I wanted to be that kind of rock star. I wanted to be like the Steve Vai, you know.
Mate, you still are, mate.
Well, no, but then when I walked in, I go, this is it. This is my purpose. This is kind of, I don't want to do that now. I want to play music in church, and same thing last 20 years or so. So it's cool, how we kind of God kind of just orchestrates this, and on a bigger picture, we hear other people's stories and we go, oh wow, that's kind of similar to my thing. Man. How cool is that?
That's exactly it, man. So I've been sold out to it ever since.
Yeah, wow. So when you came to Christ at 15 or something, and you're obviously playing guitar, and then did you start playing at the church?
Yeah, I did, and I was just so excited to be a part of everything. You know, I put out chairs. I just helped out, plugged in gear, whatever. And I just wanted to. This is a church in Perth, and I just wanted to just help out, help bring, I guess, whatever I could offer, musicality, because I was already playing around, and I had learnt, I was on this steep learning curve with music, and I wanted to bring that into the church.
Yeah.
So that's how I started with. I wasn't exposed to any worship music before that. I didn't really know, and worship music was, back then it was, I guess, Integrity and your Ron Canoli, Ken Henry's, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I started, and I fell in love with it, and it was it was later on that they started playing Hillsong music.
Right.
Church.
Yeah.
And the first album I heard of Hillsong, I think, was People Just Like Us.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was like, man, who are these people? It's like rock and roll church,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
But this is me in Perth, right?
Yeah.
And it was soon after that I was asked to go to this conference, the Hillsong conference, which I knew nothing about.
Right.
So that was in '99. So I came over for the conference.
Right.
And I felt the Lord speak to me very clearly about my direction in life, because living in Perth, I was working full time, I was studying, I was helping out in church, I was doing all the stuff, gigging around town, everything. But I felt that, I could see my entire life before me at 20 or 21.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is cool, but is there more? There's got to be more,
Right.
So when I went to the conference, I felt the Lord speak to me really clearly. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never seen worship like this, with the level of excellence and the production and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, I was like, nah, I think this is maybe what I want to do. And I felt the Lord speak to me and says, well, you can have it if you want. So
right. Wow. So then you moved from Perth.
Well, I didn't know how to move to Sydney because I had people telling me from Perth, you should go to LA, you should pursue the music thing. Go to Sydney or I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I just going to catch a flight here, rock up with my suitcases and think, okay, now what?
Yeah, right.
So, but then it was at the same time, a friend of mine got a record deal with the Sony label, and she was like, look, I've just signed a 5-album record deal. Moved to Sydney. I need a guitarist. I'm like, great, that's me. She goes, I need you to move. I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. And I didn't hear from her for a while. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she contacts me. She goes, okay, this is serious. I'm going to start touring. I've got some gigs and all that. You still want it? I'm like, yeah, I do. She goes, okay, can you come over in 3 weeks? So I literally, with that 3 weeks time, I dropped everything. I'd only ever lived at home. So,
right.
Yeah. So, gave up work, gave up studying, gave up everything that was comfortable for me. I moved over with the coins in my ashtray. That's all I had. And the stuff in the boot of my car. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Wow.
Or hysteria or whatever.
Wow, what a cool, that's amazing. What a step just into the unknown, a step of faith into the unknown. But you must have, was there I want to pursue music? Like, was there a desire to have a career in music even before coming to Sydney?
I was, there was, but I was really afraid to take that step, to be honest with you, because the church that I found myself in back in Perth, all the people around me were, a lot of them were actually overseas students, and they were there to study, and they were there to study to become, they become doctors, engineers, mathematicians, accountants, all these and they would go to me, and they were beautiful people, and they were like some of my best friends, and they would ask me like, oh, so what do you do? And I'm like, I play guitar. And they're like, oh, right. What do you do during the day? I'm like, no, that's what I do. And they're like, oh. So I felt this kind of inadequacy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to uni. So I found myself at uni studying like communications and multimedia design. And,
wow.
And I was halfway through it. And I remember I was walking to a lecture one day, and it's not often that I really hear the Lord speak to me. But this one time I really felt his audible voice, and he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I literally stopped. I remember where I was standing, everything. I stopped and I looked around. I'm like, God, I'm going to a lecture. He's like, why? I'm like, to study, to get a degree, And he's like, why? And I felt like the Holy Spirit kept probing me.
Right.
And he kept saying, why? And I was like, well, because I don't think music's going to cut it. That was my answer. And all I felt him say was like, I don't make plan Bs, and then so I found myself at the same time, I pulled out of uni to my parents' absolute horror and despair.
Oh, right.
And at the same time, getting that opportunity to move over to Sydney.
Yeah.
And when I said yes to music, it just felt right.
Yeah.
And look, my parents still ask me when I'm going to get a real job. I'm still here doing the music thing.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm so glad that I obeyed.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think we're all glad you're obeyed, Nige. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm still just saying yes to whatever happens,
Yeah. No, I think that's what keeps you, going and I mean, I don't like to use the word, but successful keeps you, there in the forefront of what Hillsong is doing. Because
the funny thing is, I never set out to be I get these emails and messages on social media, and I'm like, oh, look, I want to be a worship guitarist. Can you teach me your tricks and your 10 steps to become a worship guitarist?
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't even know how to answer that.
Right.
I myself never set out to be a worship guitarist.
Yeah.
What is a worship guitarist? Is that even a thing, a genre, or a job?
Nah.
And I just wanted to play music, and I just wanted to have some fun, and maybe build the church while doing it.
Right, while doing it. Yeah. No, I mean that's I think that's what's kept you going, man. You just got this attitude to keep on serving, to keep on saying yes, and your attitude's perfect, humble. Obviously the talent's there, and you've worked hard. You did all those hours of practice, when you were in high school. So, I think God rewards that stuff. So, well done, man.
I'm still trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah. No, you're doing good.
Now that I have a family, I got a wife and 3 kids, and the responsibility is like, oh man, it's
true.
Maybe I do need to get a real job.
All right, so take us. So you came to Sydney. And then tell us a little bit about how you joined the Hillsong team.
I remember this girl that I was playing with at the time got invited to do a 1 song or a 2 song at an Easter showcase thing.
Yeah,
and I was really excited because I've been hanging around the music team and just slowly getting to know a few people, and didn't know too many people. And then all of a sudden, I did this thing, on the Hillsong platform, and I was petrified because I was like, this is the thing that I felt like, it was laid out before me and God promised it and all that sort of stuff. But I remember just playing and meeting the worship team after that. People would come up to me and like, oh, you play for that artist? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you're that guy that I've seen on the DVD and the church DVDs. And they're like, yeah. And that's how we sort of, Nice. And I remember the first time I actually got rostered on, because after that I joined the creative team and went to the Wednesday night, gatherings and the creative team nights, and the first time I eventually got rostered on a few months later was I remember it was a Sunday morning, and I was playing with Darlene Check was leading worship back then, and I was rostered on with this guitarist, with David Moyes. He was like my hero,
Yes.
I watched him, and he's just a brilliant player. He's so grounded in his technique and his style, and and I was rostered on with him, and I was like, whoa. And I remember in rehearsal, I was just so excited, set up my gear, and we started rehearsing. I was playing with him. Because I was so excited, I was just playing and barely even listening to what the song was doing, what the vocals were doing. I was just playing. I was playing all over the vocals, just playing all over everyone. And he turns around and he comes up and he goes, "Oi, you, be quiet." And I was like,
why?
He's like, "You're playing over everything. Just listen." And I fully got burned. I mean, it was a righteous burn, but
it's still a burn.
It was still a burn, and it was a burn from my guitar hero. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Come that Sunday morning, I remember setting up 7 a.m. Sunday morning, and Dales gets a phone call, and it was from David Moyes, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sick. I'm not coming in this morning." And so Dales looks at me and is like, "Well, you're it." So I was like, okay. First time I've ever played at church, like never played before.
Right.
So I remember the first song was a song called one day, and it starts with this guitar intro. It's very simple. It's just this like this 3-note sort of like triad thing. And I remember walking up as the service is about to start, and I felt God say, "This is what you wanted. This is what you asked for." I was like, "You're right." So I remember turning on the overdrive pedal and just going, people are like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" You know. And I remember being rostered on. Someone I got replaced. Someone got taken off Sunday night. And then put me on. For that Sunday night after that morning, and then that was 3 weeks before the Hillsong conference in 2000. And
it's a big one.
By the time Hillsong conference came around, I'd played every single service at conference.
No way.
Every single service.
No way.
And it's pretty much been every single weekend since.
Wow. Okay, so that was kind of
that was my induction, if you like.
Your induction, your baptism into. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, and then you've been there ever since, right? But obviously it wasn't just you were obviously serving voluntarily initially. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay, and then when did you actually become like staff, or when did that change over?
So I served voluntarily for about 3 years.
3 years, right.
And in beginning of 2003, February 2003, Darlene asked me to come on staff part-time.
Right.
Just to help out with musicians and to help with the music team in the city, actually. In Dank Street,
Oh, there you go.
So I did the first year down there. And then I started 2 days a week, on a relatively humble salary,
Yeah.
The old church salary. And 2 days ended up being 3 days, and then ended up being full time by mid 2005, and I've been full time ever since. Yeah.
Wow. So you would. It's I remember becoming like worship pastor at Liverpool, and wow, like we're very kind of honored and lucky to be full-time musicians who get to work in a church. And
100%.
You know what I mean? How cool was that? Like, you've got 100%. All these other musos who have to have day jobs and just scrape up enough to whatever to make ends meet.
It has been the greatest roller coaster ride, if you like.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Like I said before, I was like, I never set out to become a worship guitarist. I never, my job was never to play guitar. Playing guitar, and it still is. I don't necessarily get paid to play guitar. I get paid to do a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Playing guitar is part of it.
Yeah. That's right.
So, but it is like the greatest honor to do this, to serve the Lord. Through music, through making music, to be able to create music, and
amazing,
and to help push the boundaries of what worship music could be like for the church. It's such an honor to do that.
Oh, it's brilliant. I remember seeing you. It was early on. Must have been when you just arrived, like maybe that when you came from Perth. And I remember seeing you. I don't know if it was Hillsong Conference or just Hillsong, just a normal church service, and just this guy on guitar. I don't know, whoa! I think it was amazing. I've never forgotten it. Just seeing you play. Yeah, it was awesome. It was like,
you're
wow.
too kind, man.
Yeah, it was really cool. It really made an impression. So, wow. Now, tell me a little bit about, obviously, because Hillsong are renowned for their albums. They're one of the best in the world at what they do. So when did you start playing on albums? I know, like United or Hillsong.
The first album, I remember I guitar teched for the United album Best Friend. I think it was back in 2000, I think.
Right.
And then the first album I actually played on was the You Are My World album in 2001.
Yep.
And I did all the early United albums as well.
Yep.
But then I pretty much predominantly stayed with the Hillsong Worship brand.
Yep.
And I've played, I think, every album since You Are My World until
Wow.
now, you know.
Wow. So, yeah. So that's a lot of albums. Like that's a huge catalog.
I can't believe it. I don't know why I keep getting asked. You know, I'm the old guy. You know, so many great young players coming through, man. I'm all about just bring the next generation through.
For sure. Yeah.
But, it is a large catalog. Funny enough, there's a lot of songs. Half of them I can't even remember. You know,
right.
Every now and then, you know, like I'll get sent an Instagram clip or like a link, and I'm like, what song is that? You know, I have no idea. I'm like, oh, I played on it apparently.
And, right. Wow, that's amazing. And now, and now, obviously, that came with touring. So you got to travel.
Okay, so the first tour, get this, the first tour that I did was, I call it the September 11 tour. Wow. So it was my first time I went to America.
Right.
And I'd never toured before. It was a greatest honor because I was peaking to be able to get on this tour.
Yeah.
And the tour went through all sorts of different parts of America. I'm just trying to remember it, but I remember being in New York on I think September 9th or September 10th.
Right.
And we'd left. It was September 9th, I think. We'd left New York, and then went to. We're in Atlanta playing September 10th, and September 11th in the morning. We were waiting at the airport in Atlanta when the tragedy happened. I saw it on TV.
Wow.
So, but I was in America, you know, at the time.
Wow.
Just in New York, I was looking at the Twin Towers 2 days before.
Wow.
Live, and then so that was my first tour.
Wow, never forget that. Wow.
It was a crazy introduction. Yeah.
Wow.
And, but in saying that, been touring ever since 2001 with the worship team, and and it's again that's been wild, and got the very fortunate to see a lot of the world, and take our music to the nations, and
wow, great. What an experience, man. What an experience.
100%, man.
So you're also, as part of being a guitarist, and we can talk a little bit about the guitar also, but you're a music director. That would be a big part of what you do in your role. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So music director for Hillsong Worship, and just for the weekend services, and now that everything's online, I'm still doing that, shaping the arrangements and running the bands, and doing that, and I really enjoy doing that, actually.
Right. That's cool. So tell me what's been some of the challenges of this role of being music director, guitar player, a very prominent church. I don't know, any challenges you'd like to share that could benefit us?
Challenges. Oh, look, that has been a journey in itself for me, just like a learning curve. I guess the music directing came about for the need for better communication, at our church. Yelling across stage only went so far after a while,
Sure.
And so to be the point person that communicates on the platform, off the platform, and helps run the bands. I guess it's a big job. I love doing it. I'm very when it comes to music and the musicalities and the intricacies, I'm very particular. Which can be maybe annoying to some people, but I guess it's just wanting our music to be represented well. And excellent, So but that's, I guess, in terms of challenges, I can tell you where it's gone wrong for me. Just a few gong moments. I mean, I definitely don't have all the answers. That's for sure. I think where the role of the music director has gone wrong is where people sort of get on a power trip, perhaps, and say, it's my call, it's my thing, and it needs to run like how I say. That's not what music directing is, and especially not in the context of our church. But anyway, I remember this one story. We were in I was touring with Darlene. We were in Nashville. Of what? Okay, music capital of the world, Nashville.
Yeah.
I was at a Joyce Meyer conference, so it's no small, it's not like a little backyard thing,
No.
We're at a Joyce Meyer conference in a very big stadium in Nashville.
Yeah.
And we were doing, I was MDing the band, he was directing the band, great band on. She was leading, she was singing, I Can Sing of Your Love Forever.
Yeah.
Now, we're in the key of D, 4 chords, D, E minor, G, A. How wrong could it go?
Well, I mean, you learned DAG when you were a little kid, so
exactly.
You had these.
Let me tell you how wrong it went. Okay.
All right. Tell us.
Well, okay. So she we're sort of cycling the chords, and it was great. And then she kind of did this thing, this band up and then went down. I was like, is that a key change? No, if that's a key change. Maybe it was a key change. I don't know. So at the end of the cycle, when in D, E minor, G, A, she puts her hand up. I'm asking myself, is it a key change? Before I could even address it on the microphone, half the band went up to E.
Oh.
But what do you do? So the keyboard player, the bass player went up to E.
Yeah.
I stayed in D.
Yeah.
The keys player sort of played E on the top hand and D on the bottom hand, on the right, on the left.
He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure.
And then he just kind of went to a pad sound. The drummer just started building. The acoustic guitarist stopped.
Yeah.
And Giles' hand, the key change finger, started shaking like that.
Oh.
It was like the worst sound in the world. And I was like, I'm fine. That's it. It's all over. I'm dead. She had some stern words. Yeah. To me after, but this is Nashville. This is the music capital of the world, and I screwed it over 4 chords.
Wow!
So,
wow! How did you recover? How did you recover?
Well, I'm still here to tell the story.
Yes, that's true.
But look, music directing, I guess, in a nutshell, the challenges is, I guess, it's just about being confident, being certain, having a plan A, B, and C. And just regardless if it's the wrong call, make sure you make a call so everyone goes there together.
Yeah. So do you think your leadership has grown, being in that role as music director? Do you think the leadership you've stepped up and had to become that, not the strong sort of lorded over leader, but you have to be, as you said, confident and prepared. Do you think you've grown in your leadership?
Well, I think so. I think a lot of it's come out of relationship and longevity, just because I've been here and doing it for so long. Obviously, that comes with experience, and I've grown with the technology and the different methods of what we try to present. Whether it's like when it comes to opener, running tracks and working with video and getting on Pro Tools, which is half my life.
Right.
We're growing with all those technologies. There comes a certain level of, I guess, expertise, if you like, and excellence and trust. And the big thing, I guess, is there's relationship there, because I've worked with a lot of people for many years, so they trust me out of that relationship. I guess I see the role as more of a it's definitely not a this is how it needs to happen musically and it's my way or the highway. It's not that at all. It's working with people's strengths and capabilities and maybe even their limitations. And that's the beauty about relationship. The first thing I do is on a weekend, whenever I'm playing, is before I even play a note or set up, I'll put my gear down, I'll go around and shake everyone's hand and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's your week been? Everything like that. And that's the place that we play out of. We play out of relationship. Everyone can string 4 chords together. Like we know how to work within the confines of music and the laws and the boundaries of music, but then when you play out of relationship, there's another level of synergy there, if you like. So
definitely
that's to me is the most important thing. With music directing, it's definitely not a dictatorship, but it's like let's see how far we can push the boundaries of our musical excellence. But out of a place of like, man, we're really enjoying this together. I know what your week's been like. What the drummer's week's been like. I know where the place that you're playing out from.
Yeah.
And there's just another level of synergy when you package musical excellence and the Holy Spirit together.
Yeah.
So I love that, and to be able to help shape that from a music director's point of view is wonderful.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And how do you seem like a really busy guy, and you've got your Pro Tools, you got the arranging, key changes, all that. How do you fit?
We don't do many key changes, man.
No more key changes.
Don't hang on to that story. No more key changes. There's a reason why we don't do key changes.
There's never been a key change since then. That's right.
Correct.
How do you fit like guitar, like even just playing the guitar, working on new stuff yourself, improving yourself as a guitarist? How do you practice? Are you a practicing kind of guy? How do you do it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I all my. You caught me at home at the moment, but all my gear is actually at the studio. Right. But for a long time, I found myself just, when I come home, I'll be like, no, I'm coming home, and I just want to switch off to the world. I'm like, but I found myself after a while just really compartmentalizing music. I'm like, no, music belongs over there, and at home is home, and I'm like, but it just didn't feel right. But music to me is everything. It's so I found myself getting frustrated because I wasn't doing any sort of music at home. So now I just have like a guitar sitting in the lounge room. So when I'm, like chatting with the wife, or like the kids are, making dinner, or we're just chilling out and having conversations, I'll just have the guitar there, and I'm always, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's half an hour, I just have it there. So I'm always playing now. So yeah, it's music to me is, I guess, the busyness of life and having 3 kids and obviously having outcomes at work, it's definitely a little bit more intentional.
Right.
But I still love it like how I used to love it back in my bedroom back in Perth, but I have to make time for it.
Right.
Now. It doesn't just happen as organically as I like.
Yeah.
And often when that happens, the times that it does happen, it's after 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Yeah. But the danger of that, yes, while you're in bed, this is pushing your bedtime already.
Oh, no, I know.
But often it'll be like 11 o'clock, I'll pick up the guitar. But the danger of that is sometimes it'll be like 2 a.m. before I put it down, because I still love it as much as I did as a young punk. So
yeah.
But it's just for now, music is like for me, it's like I have to learn, learning songs, learning parts, writing parts, arranging stuff, creating tracks. Music to me, the output of it looks different, but the enjoyment is still there.
That's great, man.
Same. Music is music, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. It's really good that you still love it, because once it becomes a job and you're not enjoying it anymore,
it's no fun.
It's no fun. But when you said that, just a big smile came on your face. I thought, this guy is loving it.
Well, I mean, because if there've been times where I've had people come to me and be like, you know what, like my leaders at church, have been like, musical leaders, no names mentioned, but they'll be like, hey, what have you been listening to? What have you been, have you been practicing? I'm like, not really. It's been busy. And they'll be like, yeah, we can tell you're kind of churning out the same old boring stuff. And I was like, oh. So, I remember that conversation, as hard of a pill it was to swallow. I was like mindful, like if I'm tired, and I'm not loving music, then my soul needs to be refreshed. And I just, rather than trying to force it, I'll be like, okay, do I get out in the garden? I go play golf? Do I, just listen to music for the sake of listening to music, as opposed to listening to a song, having to learn it or analyze it,
Yeah, sure.
So I've gotten better at just listening to myself, if you like. And always learning how to refresh myself. And now music is just, the love of music is pretty consistent. So
wow, that's cool. So how's because I've noticed, pop music, mainstream music has changed over the years. There seems to be like less guitar, you know what I mean? I'm not hearing a lot of guitar in the pop scene. What's been the change?
Sad, isn't it?
It is sad. Is guitar dying, Nigel?
No.
Okay, great. Great. Well, I'm glad, because I asked Matt Wakeland the same thing and he said the same answer. So I'm pleased to know that all my guests are saying it's not dying.
Your wife included, huh? Your wife and my
Yeah. Well, it can't die. We were brought together because of the guitar.
I'm not going to let it die, man. No,
That's right. Nice.
You become good friends with your producers and your mix engineers and all that. And we're like, hey, how's the guitar going?
Yeah,
they're like, oh, it's
that's
up a
true.
little bit, Yeah.
That's true. How's your music? How have you adapted guitar in more of the last few years, where there's more backing tracks coming through, there's more synth, and how is the guitar? How have you found you've had to fit the guitar parts in? How's it changed for you also?
To be honest with you, it's actually really it's helped me grow my own musicianship, because for so long guitar was like, for me, rock and roll. Just wall of guitar sounds and lots of overdrives and delays and what have you.
Yeah.
Pure self-indulgence, That's okay, man. It's fine. But to be able to fit it into the context of, I guess, music that evolves with the times, you either adapt or you get left behind, or you become maybe displaced for what the need for that moment in church and worship. If you know what I mean, So I'm like, well, okay, challenge accepted. If it's going to be heavily tracked and heavily synth, then obviously the space for guitar is going to look different. So instead of maybe 2 overdrives, I use 1 now.
Right.
but I'll just go to a cleaner sound. But you have to think differently. You think if the synth lines and the synth pads and the layers are taking up this much room, instead of playing a wall of chords, it's just going to get lost in the mud of the middle layers of the pads and all that. Maybe I'll get creative to try to write some different parts that, like what I said when I was introduced to playing at Hillsong for the very first time. I was told I was playing all over the vocals. So now you have to really be intentional to listen to what the vocals are doing, what all the keys parts are doing, and it's still a conversation, but the different people are talking now, so the conversation is, I have maybe less to say, but when I do say something, it's gonna be really more intentional.
Wow. So and that's been an evolution in that, isn't it? Like
100% for all of us, I guess, as guitarists. It's, if you listen to a lot of the pop stuff, it's clean guitars. It's sort of repetitive patterns that happen over and over again. It's not just free form soloing and random parts. Everything is very intentional. But I mean, to evolve with that has caused me to sort of grow my, I guess, producing skills, if you like, and really understand how, what the music is asking. It's, we work with a great team. It's not just what I want, I work with, great producers, songwriters, we'll come with a whole list of songs that the songs that we're writing could potentially sound like. But at the end of the day, it's just whatever the song, requires. So if it's guitar, then great. If it's more synths, then so be it. Here to serve.
Here to serve. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. What about younger guitarists coming up? Do you get to kind of mentor, teach, or just bring up some future generation guitarists?
I guess it's really through the process of osmosis. Like I don't as such sit down on a weekly basis. Like yourself, as with what you do. I don't sit down and like, come in and let me teach you my ways. It's really not that. It's like it's like I hang out with people. They come to the studio and hang out, maybe watch me prepare a session or just whatever. But it's really through just watching and hanging out. We have a lot of services and a lot of things in our week to week, especially even with lockdown now. There's still we're still doing a lot of online services, and we're always doing something. So there's always an opportunity to come alongside someone and and learn and just be a part of it all. And I love that. Like when I get to work with like a young guitarist, it's definitely not for me. It's like I don't have to play all the parts. I don't have to do that lead line. I don't care about that stuff. I'm like, hey, you play it all. I'll just run the bands and have fun, you know. Just I'm all about giving people a go, and the beauty about young guitarists coming through, you learn so much from whether I might have been playing guitar for what over 30 years, but someone who's been playing 6 months or 1 year still has so much to offer.
Right.
I never want to be closed off to to learning something new from a young person who has a fresh perspective on the instrument. I'm all about it, man.
No, that's cool. No, that's really good. That's really good because you definitely want to have that security. You don't want to be insecure of the younger generation. You know what I mean? You don't want to think, oh, they're threatening my space. You know, like it's. You don't seem to be like that.
The last thing I want to be is a 65-year-old guy with white dreads, just hanging on to my, this is where I stand on stage, and I get rostered, and I'm gonna play I don't care about that, man. Seriously.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool, man. That's cool. Hey, any guitarists out there that excite you? I know Mateus Asato is a big fan of Nigel Hendroff. And
well, it's mutual, man.
Oh, for sure, right? Like I just from a guitar point of view, Next Generation, he's phenomenal. You know what I mean? The stuff that I've heard.
Yeah.
Any other guitarists that you kind of heard have caught your eye or caught your ear?
Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, Mateus is definitely one. I'm happy to brag on him for a bit. We've become actually really good friends.
Yeah. Awesome.
And we've hung out a lot, and I have immense respect for him. And he, like I say, he's a young guitarist in the scene, and with such a beautiful perspective and
amazing.
take on the instrument. His technique is brilliant, and his stylistically is unique, and he's made it his own, and I love that, and it kind of reminds I was gonna say it reminds me of me when I first started on a lot lower level, but so he's I got immense respect for him. Learn a lot from him, from his style. And I grew up listening to people like Robin Ford and Stevie Ray Vaughan and George Benson and great Tommy Emmanuel and players like that, and Simon Ruffalo and all those players.
Who's that guy?
You not heard of him? But seriously, like those are the sort of players that I grew up. But nowadays, I mean, if you look at the people I follow on Instagram, a lot of them are just these great guitarists, Instagram heroes. They're amazing, and I watch them. I'm like, I'll just import that into Tools. I'll slow that down and just copy it. There's amazing players nowadays on there. I'm just trying to go through. Just look at my feed. You'll see it.
Cool. No, it's amazing, and I watch a lot of those young guys, and it's like, where do they come from, but they're and we didn't, I suppose, have all the social media connections. The platforms that they have, but it's pretty cool what they're up to. But I really enjoyed like how Mateus, when I've seen a couple of photos of you guys together, and he looks up to you a lot, man, and it's a great thing, man.
Weird. It's so weird.
Just take it, bro. Just take it, because you have really created a space for a lot of guitarists, including myself. So I know I know for you, you're all about serving, but in your saying yes to leaving Perth, taking a gamble, you over the last 20 years have created a space for a lot of guitarists to want to play in church, to want to serve God in church, and that's no small thing. So credit to where credit is due, man. I obviously want to honor that too. And
thank you, man. It is immense honor. And I feel it's still I still don't get it, because I look at the Instagram messages or what have you, or the emails, and people aspiring to be worship guitarists. And I said it before. I'm like, for so long, I'm like, what is a worship guitarist? Is that even a thing? But I guess it is a thing. It's a big deal, and to play a part in that, like one part, there's many great players out there, but to be a part of that is, it's unbelievable. You're helping shape people's destinies through music, and giving them something to live for, and helping move the church, taking the gospel through music, forward is an immense responsibility and honor.
Right.
So
No,
I love that I still get to do it.
You carry it well, man. You carry it really well. You carry it on. I want to ask you, what advice would you give a young 15-year-old Nigel, now that you're 21 years or a little bit older? What advice would you give a young person on guitar and just that stuff? What advice would you give someone?
What I'd tell someone 10 years my younger,
something like that.
Something like that. Oh man, geez. Just I'd probably tell them a few things, actually. Where do I start with this, man? Because the young me was really annoying because I thought I knew everything.
Right.
And I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to be quick and eager to prove my self-worth.
Right.
Through my instrument. I guess the first thing I'd say is your identity is not in what you do. That's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to sort of get a grasp on, especially as creatives, because we pour so much of ourselves into what we do, and you just want people to love it. And when they don't, it cuts you to the core.
For sure.
But that's it's easier said than done, because I'm as a slightly older person now, I'm still learning that. I'm still dealing with that. It's not something you ever just graduate from.
That's right.
You never graduate from learning this sort of stuff. So that would be my first thing. And on the learning curve as well, like, don't ever get to a place where you think, okay, I know enough and I'll settle back on this and I'll just rest. I'm happy with what I know now. You never, like I said before, you never graduate from learning. So I'll tell myself as a young person, I'd say stay teachable. Stay flexible, stay adaptable. If one weekend you get asked to play, amazing. If another weekend you get asked to pull out the chairs, be happy with that. And I'd say take the time to find out your own. I guess your own identity. If you're serving in church, we talk a lot about church. If you're serving in church, make sure that you're hearing from the Word of God yourself, and not just through your leaders, and you're not living vicariously through your leaders, your pastors, what have you. Where they're teaching you. They're also obviously trying to hear from God and teaching you. But you need to get your own identity and your own self-worth and your own all that sort of stuff, character development through the Word of God. Because what happens, when you are living vicariously through your leaders, and then you think, they're like, great, you're being rostered, you're doing all that sort of stuff. But then all of a sudden you don't get rostered anymore, and you get asked to, can you just play for a different service? We don't want you on the main service, or can you let this guy come through, or can you go and serve somewhere else? And these are real things that happen. Do you absolutely crumble and fall apart because all of a sudden the leader that has always been telling you you're awesome and you're this and blah blah blah, all of a sudden has hurt you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
get your self-worth and figure out who you are from what the Word of God says. So that's your true north. That's your grounding. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I'd tell my younger self that.
Wow. Some wise words there, Nigel. Some wise words,
I'm
man.
rambling now, man.
No. You're doing well. You're doing well. What's next for
You have a lot
Nigel?
to edit, man. A lot to cut down.
No. It's great. What's next? Anything? What's next for Nigel?
Oh, what's next for me? Look, I'm always. I never want to just be settled with what I have in my hand to do now. But at the same time, I've always sort of gone to the next thing by just saying yes to whatever gets presented to me.
Yeah.
I don't have a 20-year goal saying I want to produce these 10 albums, or I want to be touring the world with this artist or whatever. It's I'm loving being a part of where I serve at Hillsong Church. It's a place with fertile soil, so it allows me to grow and have great opportunities to do some fun musical things. So for me, what's next is, still doing the church online. We're recording an album at the moment, another Hillsong Worship album. So we've been in the studio doing that.
Nice.
I've done stuff with Mateus. Maybe we'll do a little bit more in the future.
Cool.
I do. We make some pedals on the side.
Yeah, that's right. You do.
All those things. So there'll be more of that to come as well.
Nice.
So stay tuned with that. I've been working with multi-tracks as well and creating some sounds and stuff with them. And I'm just gonna keep those opportunities keep coming up. So I'm gonna just do that. Try to be a wise person with the guitar. If I can help more people through the instrument with doing these things, then great. It's just about getting the right tools into people's hands so that they can do what they do better. If I can help equip people with that in whatever way, whatever opportunity comes my way, then I'll do that.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome, man. So much knowledge and wisdom and experience that you've lived.
It's just come by all those missing those key changes and getting told. The very first, I told you about the first Hillsong conference that I played in year 2000. I remember playing the last chord of the last service after the 2-week marathon. I'd nicknamed it Grill Song, I think, or Hell Song, because I'd been every time I played, I was told off. I was like, you're too loud, you're this, you're blah, you're that, you're late, you're whatever, you're too young, you're too, whatever, or everything. But I mean, every time, I think you get presented with those, if you get corrected or if you get challenged, you have a choice. You have a choice. You have a rise to it, or you crumble. And I just hope that we all just keep rising.
No, that's great, man. That's great. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And Nigel, you're a friend, and I know I don't hang out a lot, man. But you really, more, man. I'd love to hang out. Maybe we could even jam. We've never jammed together, so that would be fun. That would be fun. I'm not Mateus, but I'm left-handed, so
I only jam with left-handed people, man. Lucky
there you go.
It's a lucky day.
It's my lucky day. Yeah.
Mate, I've seen you play, man. You can tear it up. Oh, mate, I could learn a thing or 10 off you.
I think I'm still stuck in the shredding era, Nigel. You've moved on, and I'm kind of stuck in an era.
It's a place I want to revisit, man.
Well, we'll have to hang out, man. But no, thanks for coming on and taking some time out tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, my absolute honor, man. Thanks for having me. Such a treat,
man. Yeah, no, it's cool, man. We'll get it out there, and people can hear about your story. It's cool, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for trusting me with this, man. Thanks for having me,
man. No, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Well, there it was, Nigel Hendroff. What a great conversation. What a great musician, guitarist, but more importantly, what a great person he is. I really enjoy, interviewing people, having conversations, and they're just quality people. And that's what it's really all about. So I hope you've learned some stuff, and just go back and just listen to how he talks about, preparation and hard work and taking a risk and having some faith. It's a great story. All right, coming up, we're going to be doing more lessons. I'm going to have some conversations with more people. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.